All right, welcome everybody. Tuesday post-market, Wall Street Jesus here. Only the diehards. I see a decent amount of people here, actually more than I thought, considering the market closed early. And, listen, degenerates, they look for any excuse to drink, get intoxicated, fall all over the place, drink their sorrows away, especially in this game. Like, throughout my career, a lot of people like to drink the bad days away, you know. But anyway, a lot of you here, good to see. Um, we could talk about a couple of things because there are some interesting things going on in the market. It's kind of tough out there. We'll go over some of the stuff that we're seeing out of flow and what I guess the easiest trade opportunities will be out there from my perspective anyway, because there's more than enough tough spots. So we'll go over that very quickly. I want to get it out of the way early because, like I said, I get questions at the end and I'm kind of rushing through it. Anybody, if you're new and you have any questions regarding the terminology or any of the stuff we're referring to on this webinar, you could go to wallstreetjesus.com, WALLST, Jesus.com. You could get the link off my Twitter as well. All right. And you click on this strategy tab right here, and you'll probably get all the answers to any questions regarding terminology, strategy, and what the hell we do over here. Okay. Quick, easy to read blogs. So you're sitting around doing nothing one day. You can breeze through pretty much all of them. Okay. And basically, if you're interested, if what we're discussing on these webinars makes sense, you want to give it a shot, we got a 3-day trial, free, no credit card required. You will get access to this room here. All right, live audio, video. I'm on there talking about the flow as it comes in. Traders in real time talking about what they're doing. And, you can see the alert board and all that stuff. All right. Also, we have, here's 50% off the first month after the 3 days if you're interested. And if you're looking for just private Twitter, you go to the product section, private Twitter feed. And this is just the private Twitter feed, no access to the room, obviously. And you can put your handle in there and you're ready to go. All right. The premium package includes private Twitter, but not in the free trial. Only if you become a full member, you get access. No add-on. You don't have to pay for it, included in the membership. All right. So like I said, any questions, you guys know where to find me. But check out the strategy section. You'll get some answers there. All right. Very quickly, let's just talk about the market, and then I guess we'll take some names and some of your ideas we have. We won't be on here too long. I know you guys are looking to get those party shoes on. But obviously with the holiday right smack in the middle of things, the summer, things die down to begin with. The machines are having their way out there, and especially off headlines. You saw today. Let me first of all get one screen up. I'm making myself dizzy here. How do I do this? Like this? Okay. You saw today what happened. Basically, this market wasn't doing a damn thing. Couldn't find any traction in either direction. The flow was abysmal. When it was all said and done, there really wasn't one legitimate sweep that I'm going to remember from the day, in my opinion. And then late day, you had some news out of Micron, China shutting down chips, whatever the case may be. And that took down some tech and the overall market with it eventually when it was all said and done. All right. Well, would the market have sold off without that news? Probably not. Maybe a little bit, but not as much. They gave them an excuse to push some stops, nobody around, and they did what they needed to do. You can see here in Micron, right there. Whoop. All right. There was some, I wouldn't say peculiar, but the flow was pretty quiet today. And in the midst of it, there was some protection out there. Obviously, what I mean by protection, some put activity. Really small, really light action, but I wasn't expecting it. You know what I mean? You had some Microsoft protection out in September. There were blocks, size blocks. That's not too out of the ordinary. We see that from time to time going into earnings, when we're getting ready for earnings season. But also like, little names like Intel, Apple, some small sweeps. It just, I don't know, it looked weird considering the flow. If anything, I thought we might see some smaller call activity because the market always leans bullish, unless we're in correction mode. But it kind of took me a little bit by surprise, especially that we did see some tech buying on Monday. Okay, so we saw some bullish activity come into tech. I was looking for maybe a follow through of that action, but we gapped up and they started to play the other side a bit. Regardless, I think today is a day or flow that you take and throw out the window completely. I don't think there was any noteworthy action today at all. And you try not to get wrapped up and make a bigger deal out of things, especially when you see a down day and a little bit of protection mixed in. You don't want to blow that out of proportion in a sense. Okay. If they really want to get bearish, we will see a follow through in put sweeper activity. And like I always say, a lack of call buying. So we'll see what happens the rest of the week. Anyway, it makes for tough sledding out there. It makes it difficult if you're a swing trader right now and you're looking for that follow through move, right? Sometimes, you'll nail the spot, you'll buy on a down day, looking at some flow you like, you do everything right. You catch a little bit of rally, but you want that little extra push. You're not up as much as you would like. You're profitable for a day or two, and you're looking for that extra push. This is the type of market that you get stuck in. You're looking for that extra push, and it just never comes. And the market just sloshes around until it finally makes a decision. But at that point, it may be too late, especially in what you're looking for. So that's what I'm seeing right now. And I'll give you an example. Some names have performed better than others, okay? But it depends on the sector. Like for me right now, the only thing that I would have confidence in is some under the radar, under the hood. It doesn't have to be small cap, mid cap name that has nothing to do with these tariff headlines and can outperform. The problem is we're not seeing enough flow there. There have been some names. I didn't pull the trigger on any of them. Some have, and they have performed well. All right. Some of them haven't really gained any traction yet, but I'll rattle off a couple of them. Here's one, okay, which actually may be in the thick of the tariff stuff, chemicals. I don't know how that gets affected. Who knows what gets affected anymore, but we're seeing some spec action out in July. Somebody told me there's a catalyst out in July, some court ruling or something to that effect on an acquisition they made. But TROX, there seems to be some July spec activity almost every day. Okay, now it's not a lot of money. It's not sharp activity by no means. In other words, it's not the Campbell soup buying where they're buying size with two hands. It's spec sweeper activity, and it almost looks like if somebody didn't tell me there was a court ruling in mid-July coming, something where they would be looking for some chatter or something like that. That's the type of action that's catching, but it's consistent. Okay, and you could see, and if you've been following the name, it looks like it wants to get going. Every time it sees action, there's some momentum, and then it just dies out, and this action came in a couple days ago. I would say maybe 4 or 5 days ago to start. You guys know we were talking about the name, and you can see gradually just chopping around with a slight tilt higher here. Okay, so that's one of the names there's some activity in. This one has actually been a really nice performer over the couple of days. MDSO. If you guys remember, you guys who are members definitely remember us talking about this. This is a cloud slash medical pharmaceutical name. All right. This is the prototypical thing I'm talking about. Not a widely traded name by no means. Not an industrial, not stuck in the tariff stuff. Software has been one of the stronger parts, pockets of the market. And, this guy catches action, or this pullback. They open the largest position of open interest and, hasn't been down since. All right. So, in this type of market, you'll take this every single day. Okay. Other names, there was I keep forgetting that symbol. I got it up here. They put it in the software sector, but it's actually a, what the hell did I do with this symbol now? Oh, I'll just go into another one. Oh, TSG, there it is. So you can see here, software technology, but they do supposedly poker machines or video poker, whatever the case may be. Same thing, coming off a 4 or 5 day wash, and they open the largest position of open interest, strange action, and has had a nice lift ever since. Okay. Another one, materials, SUM. Now this is out in November, so they got some decent time behind them. But again, into this candle off a big wash here and gradually grinding higher little by little. Okay, but they got a lot of time here, so they don't need this move to happen anytime soon. What's another name here? What was the other name I wanted to show you guys? This has been one of the better ones. This has been probably the best sweep we saw was in this PSG, a utility, go figure. Okay, they got hot last couple days. An absolute missile came into the name. A lot of us day traded it. That was enough. Several people took it for a swing, and see, getting that follow through that a lot of other stuff aren't. Okay, so if you see the type of names I'm showing you guys, they're not, again, they're not your traditional names here. And for me, this is where I'm going to feel most comfortable in taking a shot, and by no means a big shot, for a swing. Okay. Other than that, what I'm looking for is if we get a little bit of selling in the overall markets and we get that old green squeezeometer, sentiment in our favor, you can see here the put the call on that spike, pretty much nailed those lows. Again, you can get a quick flip type trade if you're looking for that tactical trade. Other than that, based off from what I'm seeing in flow and stuff like that, they're just not offering anything to us. Not bearish, not bullish. It's just been really quiet, and there's not that quality action out there right now. I'm sure the summer has a lot to do with it. The tariff news has a lot to do with it. You can't blame them. I mean, we're in the heart of the summer, and you get these Trump tweets and Trump barking about some tariff stuff, and why take that risk here? At some point they're going to factor in whatever's out there, whatever we're talking about, whatever we hear on a day-to-day basis, and then anything less than that, you're going to get a nice squeeze out of it. We may need to see a little more weakness. Maybe that's what they're waiting for, but eventually that's what usually happens out of this. Okay, we're going into earnings season. That's another little added monkey wrench into things. So that could be good and bad. It could be good that they're not all in these tech names like they used to be. So you may see that scramble for some exposure. I don't think it's going to be as strong as we've seen in the past, but tradable. But again, the bad thing is, you got to bob and weave, and you got to try to milk some things without taking the risk of holding through earnings. And a lot of the action we're going to see is going to be earnings related. Like we saw quite a few of them today. What was it? There was one bet, out of the money bet, on a tech name that caught earnings. I think Microsoft caught pretty decent size October call buyer, as well as some put buying. So you're going to see a lot of earnings shenanigans going on as well. All right. But, so the point of everything I'm showing you here is that if you can trade the under the radar stuff, it may be worth your while because you can avoid the headlines. And from what I see, that's the stuff that's seeing follow through right now. We're not even seeing any rotation into defensive sectors, I guess because they already did, right? They already rotated into Campbell Soup. So it's kind of done with already. So we're not seeing that rotation into anything defensive or any other sectors yet. Maybe they can do that in healthcare, biotech. I saw like Johnson & Johnson and some stuff was green today. I guess that's possible. But that's all predicting the future here. I don't want to do that. I want the flow to show me some signs of it, and then we can react accordingly. But the only thing defensive, you had this PCG, which caught some real nice action, and no shocker, that's been one of the better performers out of the bunch. All right, so if you can trade the under the radar names off flow, and by the way, there's two ways to trade them. If you're an option player, you got to really be willing to lose what you put in. Okay. I think that's a good thing. I know a lot of you guys frown away from that for some reason. I don't know why. But they're not liquid. They're not very liquid, the calls on these things. The stocks are. The stocks are real legitimate stocks, trading 1 million shares a day. So if you're trading the common, the equity, that's fine. But if you're trading the calls, you want to pretty much put in what you're willing to lose. That's your stop loss. You don't have to stress it, and play it that way. Maybe you could get a little lucky on some of these things. All right, but other than that, there's nothing. Anybody else seeing anything that I'm kind of missing? Anybody in the room seeing something out of flow that I'm missing? Because the bigger names, here's what happens. Okay, today's a bad example, but I tell you, here's the flow in Micron today. Ding, 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 market opens, some small put action comes in. Okay, all right, maybe, there's some bearish sentiment in Micron. Then there's a little bit of call flow coming in. Okay, then there's the headline or out of China. Obviously that's bearish. Put sweepers are going to look to trade off that momentum. That's what we're seeing in these bigger names. That's what we're seeing in these bigger names. So for me, it's really tough to get involved, even day trading these things. I don't trust some of the flow I'm seeing. The only way to play them, I think, is if you buy weakness and look for that quick trade. That trade is still there. We saw it a couple of times. Yeah, Spot was caught a sweep yesterday. Ended up squeezing nicely down to today, but she was up yesterday off the sweep, so that still could be okay from here. But even Eric, even the Spot sweep, was decent. Wasn't anything to do cartwheels about. You know what I mean? So just that's the way. See, a lot of times, like traders will look at certain names or certain action and treat it the same way you're going to treat some of the best of flow out there. You just don't want to fall into that habit. Spot to me, or that sweep yesterday was a trade. That's all you're looking for. Anything more than that, just understand, especially in this market with this flow, there's a lot more risk. There's a lot more risk because we're not seeing any momentum, period. And I'll tell you right now, there is no signs of any sustainable momentum out of sweepers. I'm just not seeing it. So, and the other thing too, we're seeing, as you guys in the room, a lot of you are, a lot of spec action. And that's another sign of just a lack of confidence. Spec activity is great in weeklies and in front months, cheap stuff. When you have a bullish environment, when there's missiles flying around you, there's quality action and other things, because that spec action has a higher probability of working out because of the type of market you're in. If you're just seeing spec activity, you just got to understand that it's more prone to failure. It's more prone to failure. Like right now, we're not seeing any sharp activity. I like to put that label on it, sharp. We're not seeing any. We've been talking about this in the room. Like, again, this was the sharpest bet. When did we see it? About a week ago, right here, I think it was, because it closed nice that day off of it. So you're talking about a week ago. This has been the sharpest order that we've seen in the market, off flow. PCG had that news with Tesla. Interestingly enough, it didn't really move off the news. It kind of had a delayed reaction, but more than likely that's what he was looking for. But to me, I don't even care whether it's defensive. I just want to see the big money going somewhere, so it shows me they have confidence, and then I can have some confidence, playing with some decent sized positions behind them. I don't want to extend by myself by no means in spec activity. It's okay to trade it. Sometimes you get like, look at this one. Okay, you guys remember this? I'm not going to lie to you and tell you this was a bull missile. This was straight up spec action. Somebody came in right before the bell, scrambled to get sweep some calls, right? And he happened to catch some news, and it worked out in his favor. So this is the good. This is the good. The bad, well, I hate to put the label bad on it yet, but this is the bad, where it just doesn't get that traction, that maybe the headline doesn't seem to do much for it. Again, TROX is still early. They just bought the thing a couple days ago, but I'm using that example that if this thing just lingers here, that's what the bad would look like off this type of spec action and only spec action. But I don't want you, again, the performance has nothing to do with the type of activity. Just because this ACXM did this doesn't mean the action was incredible. It was bullish sweeper activity. He was looking for a headline. He got it. But that's what, if you're working the proper risk management on your end, that should be okay. Even being prone to more failure in a sense, it should be okay, because you're looking for trades and you catch a big one here. Some of the other ones fizzle out and, don't get to where you want to get to. More than not, you should have more winners than losers. And some of the winners are going to be pretty big if you get lucky. So again, and now there's the whole other aspect of flow out there. The whole other aspect of flow is in the stuff you guys really like to trade. You guys have the tendency, I'm not just labeling you guys as a whole, I'm just saying people have the tendency to get greedy than take the quick trade in the bigger names, the higher beta names and stuff like that. And again, it may be just a personal opinion of mine, but for me, I look at it as the risk is just, there's too much risk to try to catch that. There's too much risk. If you want to stay small and roll the dice and try to catch it, that's fine. I'll give you an example. Here's one. All right, you got Google yesterday. Okay. And yesterday, Google catches a little sweeper activity, I think, for the end of July. All right. The stock was down in the red off a pull. So that's not that bad. Okay. You like Google for a trade. You got a little dip there, a red day. it's all lined up for that. Now, again, there's a difference between a trade and playing for new highs. Okay, and I give credit. There were a lot of people in the room yesterday, more than I thought actually, who hit the Google and flipped it yesterday intraday for a nice profit, which is great. But, if you're holding for more than that, right? If you're holding from more than that snapback red to green and that, just that nice and easy trade, this is what you're going to have to go through. Now Google, come the end of the week, could be at 1180 known Google. But this is the stuff you're going to have to go through. And, the more of that stuff that's out there, the more risk that's out there. Trip is tough for me because this has been going on forever, Abby. They started buying this Trip pre-earnings. And I remember that because I was pissed off. There was some really good looking initial activity that came into Trip, but you had earnings coming up. So I didn't play it, obviously. I'm not going to hold through earnings. And, earnings gap up. And since then, the flow has been nonstop in Trip. Nonstop. Like you pick a spot, they've bought it. So it's just tough for me to get a handle on, what's the play here? There's been Trip call buyers all over this map here, all over. So it's not that initial activity. It's not that, it's not the good stuff that I like to look for. But again, always a but, if you see Trip down to off some tariff nonsense out there, right? And you're looking at it for that snapback trade, it may be good enough for that. You know what I mean? It may be good enough for that. But as far as any real extension from here, this is just not my cup of tea all the way up here. It's not my cup of tea up here. Like remember we were seeing action like that at the end of the move. And basically, I sound like a broken record because, MOMO and stuff like that. Remember we were seeing like big size action up here. I can't, if a name is going to catch action all over here and then catch action up here again, I don't have the confidence in that. That's not the stuff. I've never had success trading that type of stuff. It's the initial activity where it's hardest to pull the trigger. That's where I've had the most success. There, again, there's going to be losers. You could probably throw a couple losers at me that didn't work out that way, but more than not, I know there's going to be some solid wins out of that. Here, the thing, Abby, here's how I look at it. Okay, the way I look at Trip is you have to say to yourself, risk reward wise, is it worth your while here? What are you looking for? You know what I mean? Do you think you can see 60 before this thing gets tired and gets stuck in consolidation? Because eventually all these things end up in consolidation. They can't sustain moves like this for too long without breathing. So this may be it. This may be consolidation, the start of it, and you don't want to get caught. Yeah, Bison, remember now, if you remember, Paul, Bison was catching action in this consolidation. Remember back here, the October sweeps, and you got chopped around for a while, and then it continued to catch action up here. So, I can't look up here and say to myself, all right, Bison caught another big bet and ignore that the stock is up $20 since the first round of buying. Let them breathe, let them consolidate, and you can always revisit. You could always revisit. And maybe that's what's going on now, guys. They got the summer. The Q's sentiment actually in tech, believe it or not, is in a lot better shape than I thought it would ever be at this point. This washed out a lot of bullish sentiment in tech. So personally, I don't think it's going to be too much longer or too much more weakness before they come and look at these things for, you know, a tradable rally type of thing. I could be wrong. Look at the semis, right? They're more tied to the tariff stuff, but they've been awful. Yeah, see, okay, JD, that's a good example too. Like, you know, I was looking for action into JD this morning. You know what I mean? Just to confirm that that buying was real. It never showed up. But again, that's the stuff I'm referring to as, you know, the high risk trade, right? You like JD, take a small shot, don't get crazy. It's spec action, Paul. You know what I mean? It's just spec activity. Yeah, it was small size. It wasn't, you know, I'm being honest with you guys. You know me. I want bull missiles more than any single one of you guys. They're not there. You know, we're not seeing that size behind these sweeps. The other thing we're not seeing is them come back. You know, come back. Like you see in TROX what they're doing. It's smaller size, but you see how they're committed. They come back. Okay, that's a good sign. That's what you want to see. You know, I'm seeing action. They come in, and what normally happens is the next day or so, they come right back because they don't have enough. That small size is not enough if they want to, you know, make a nice hit off the thing. So they always come back. It's like they scramble, they nibble, and that's a sign that they may come back and gobble up more. They're not coming back. So the way I take it is it's just, you know, spec activity. Yeah, China's a mess. You know, there's a lot. Listen, there's a lot of balls in the air out there. You know, there's a lot of balls in the air. And I just think now is time to be a tactical trader and play nice and easy. You know, play nice and easy because they're not playing with much confidence. Why the hell would we, you know, try to be some cowboy and do any different? You know, and do any different. You be a trader. And listen, like I said, if you like the bigger names, okay, if you like the bigger names, just don't chase the green. That whatever you do not chase the green. Find a down day. You know, you see some flow come into a name you like, you got better odds of catching that snapback trade and, you know, being able to sell for that quick profit if you're not looking to be greedy. And listen, some of those hits, okay, and a lot of people like to look at the dollar amount, but some of those snapback trades and the names you guys like to trade are decent hits. I mean, that Google trade that some of you caught yesterday, are you kidding me? That's phenomenal in this type of climate, in a dead tape like this. You know, forget the dollar amount. Again, you guys remember, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you want things to line up as perfect as possible. And that's where you want to get aggressive. Meaning, you know, you want real flow to be there. You know, maybe you get some sentiment on your side. You know, that you want things to be in your favor to get somewhat aggressive. Here you want to play. See, for me, day trading has become that for me. Like day trading has become my grind it out, keep me entertained. I'm not going to get filthy rich, but I'm not going to break myself, right? I'm not going to get poor. Sometimes I get a little lucky, have better days than others. A lot of days I have, you know, scratches up or down is irrelevant. You know, so that's for me, when I get into this type of mentality, this mode, you know, I'm primarily day trading. I missed, a lot of you guys in the room have caught some of these nice ones. I missed every single one of them. I didn't pull the trigger because that's where my head is right now, you know? That's where my head is, and that's where, you know, that's where I'm focused right now. Until I see signs of things improving. And you can't miss the signs, guys. You can't miss it. You don't have to look with a magnifying glass. You can't miss it, you know, if you're patient enough. They're going to be like the PCG. We were talking about that order when it hit. You're going to have orders like that in some decent names, well-known names that you guys like to trade, and they're going to look like that. Yeah, they're going to look like that. $1 million sweeps, you know, a couple of them, several of them. It's going to look like they're making a play on the sector with some of them. Yeah, that's that confidence they show when they really want something. Yeah, not they scramble in for 1,500 contracts of some weekly out of the money calls. Net, the whole entire volume equals $48,000. You know, it doesn't come in weeklies. That's the other thing. You know, you're not going to see that sharp activity in weeklies. I guess it's great when it comes, when you have the missiles and all that bullishness around you. You know, you'll take the weekly stuff because you can make money off it. But, you know, the sharp guys, they don't play in weeklies. They don't play in weeklies. You know, they're not, well, I don't think Campbell Soup trades weeklies, but they're not buying Campbell Soup weeklies. You know, they don't fool around like that. They don't fool around like that. They're not putting size into stuff like that. What else are you guys seeing? Anything interesting? Any sectors out there that maybe we keep an eye on out of some flow? Maybe, you know, to buck the trend here? Anything? I know I see a lot of you guys mentioning China. I mean, you think the tariffs are having an effect here? You got to see what's going on over there. It's an absolute mess. These things cannot catch a bid. Look at this FXI. Right back to new lows again. I mean, this is borderline crash, no? All these emerging markets too. Awful. Now, they're saying, yeah, MJ, that's why the semis have been acting horrible. That's their biggest fear. Micron today, the Micron news. Oh, yeah, that's right. There was a semi put buyer yesterday. That's right. I forgot about that guy. But, you know, that's their biggest fear. $6 million it was? Jesus Christ. They do that a lot of times on before earnings too, and it's worked out the last couple quarters. It's worked out. Yeah, I know, MJ. I know exactly what you're talking about. So yeah, but MJ, that's the fear in semi-land. That's why they've been acting awful. Is that right there? And I'm sure this weakness, unless Micron comes out and says fake news or something like that, I'm sure this is going to carry over into, well, not tomorrow, the following day, and may. Yeah, listen, you got every reason to be nervous, because what we're seeing now is a lack of any quality buying there. So they're nervous. That's what they're telling us. But I wouldn't, you know, MJ, that's what I'm saying. I would look forward, you know, and I understand you're holding on to stuff. That's why hopefully you have some time, right, behind the IQ you rolled and stuff like that, because this is what you do that for. This is why you roll out when things become overheated, if you want to hold on to it. Because if you didn't roll out, you'd be dead. You know, rolling out gives you a little comfort that, all right, it's awful now, but I like the name. Chances are, once the market bottoms, find some footing, they're going to rush back into this thing, and, you know, could be at new highs come September. So, but my opinion, you know, we spoke about this, MJ, I think it was yesterday or today, I mentioned it to you. Try to forget the older names before the pull and look forward from here. You know, look at the new stuff from here. It's going to tell you a lot. One, some of the bigger winners will come out of that. And two, it'll tell you whether, you know, this market, they got any confidence in anything new from here. The put the call, well, we had, I don't know if you can make out the shadow in the background here, if you guys can make it out. You can make out that shadow. That's the total put the call. So you can see here we had a spike. That was the high point into this day, you know, reverse that day. and now has come in a bit since, you know. So pretty much in neutral right now. You only want to pay attention to the spikes for a squeeze. You know, if it stays elevated, that would be a pretty bullish sign too. You know, if it stays up here and hovers around here, that could be a sign of a bigger squeeze coming. But you can see, you know, off that gap up the following day, it washed out pretty much all that. So we're sentiment across the board right now, neutral. No extreme there, not bullish, not bearish, dead, red, neutral. So no signal there. It's not telling us a thing. You know, they're not leaning too bullish or bearish. They're probably confused like the rest of us. Microsoft, yeah, listen, Microsoft is the best of the best. You know, has been probably one of the better names in big tech flow-wise. Every dip, there's a call sweeper there. Hell, there was the most recent dip a couple days ago they were buying. You know, and you can see she's held up. Even in February, she's held up. You know, so, but the issue becomes, what are you looking for? You know, before earnings, what are you looking for? That's how you got to look at these things now. So, you know, me personally, how I would look at it is like we've been talking about, you know, in the room. You get a down day like we saw, and you see some decent sweeper activity come in. You want to get involved for that snapback trade. There it is. Anything more than that, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough unless the environment changes. There's no other way to look at it. You know, can Microsoft buck the trend and trade higher off some news while the rest of big tech chops around, does nothing? It's possible, but it's not likely. Right? It's not likely. You know, it looks pretty much like the Qs do. That's what it looks like. So that's what I'm saying. You get a down day and you see some flow like we just saw. We just saw actually was a pretty decent looking sweep come in to some weakness. You know, but if this is not enough for you, that's where you got to look at these things risk reward and say, is it even worth it? Is the risk worth it? That's how I would look at it. You know, some of these things for me aren't worth it. Like if you're going to buy Microsoft, you're going to say, okay, I'm getting into some weakness here off the sweep, and I'm looking for a snapback over the next day or two. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I pull the plug. That's how I would look at it. Right. MJ saying she'd rather look for a potential small cap or maybe a mid cap that can benefit off some news. It, you know, marches to the beat of its own drum in a sense. You know, that's the beauty of that. The problem is waiting for the flow in that, you know, is waiting for the flow. Like this MDSO compared to what the market did, you know, had a pretty decent move, you know, tradable move. But you know what the problem is with these things, MJ, on the option front? You need that decent move to cash your chips. Otherwise, the spread and the liquidity eat you up. Yeah, CLH. You know, that was another one. Look at it. You know, it's almost bulletproof right now. You know, just bulletproof, just sitting there. You know, market headlines, tariff, this, that. You know, catches a little bit of an upgrade or something like that, and all of a sudden, you got what you're looking for to sell into. You know, that's what you can get with these small caps. MDB, yeah, there was action in that. I think somebody traded this name, MDB. That's that glove, whatever. Yep. That too was in the software group, at the straight up software. Yeah, software names look strong. Yeah, there's been a little bit of flow. Not a lot though. Like we were looking, this name here, DOCU, caught some small activity. See, this is a perfect candidate for now them to come back and open up the largest position of open interest in, like that MDSO. What they did in that MDSO, this Doku is a perfect candidate for that. There was a little nibbling. It got our eyeballs on it. Now, if they really like this thing, they're going to come back to own more off a pretty nice wash. We'll see if they do. They haven't really been coming back in a lot of things. You know, but definitely worth, you see, I got it on my screen. I don't own a share. I didn't even day trade it. Just because they started nibbling, you know, I want to know what the hell it is, so I'm ready if they do attack it, and I can get in as early as possible. Yeah, that's the way I like to play these things. What else? There was another one that caught a little bit of action. They didn't come back in yet. ZS. Remember I was asking you guys what the hell this is? The soybeans. But it's not soybeans. It's software. But you can see, look, you know, found a little bottom here off a big move. It's an IPO, like a lot of these things. You know, some out of the money lottos, basically, is what they were playing there. I think they were like the $60 calls or something ridiculous. You know, maybe because of earnings. Look at the last time earnings here. You had a monster move. What was that, 26 to 44? No, it didn't catch more action. No, just that action. But, you know, another one just to keep on your screen there, MJ. You know, see how it trades. You know, see what line you might be interested in if it does catch action, how you want to play it. So you could get ready. And if they do, you know, and if they do, they probably hit a couple of these. So yeah, Take Two. You know, that's another name, Take Two, that has caught some real nice action. It's tough for this thing to just get any traction. You know, here, remember, had that bull risk reversal right here, had that bing, 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 3 days, and then, you know, with the market and everything else, they dragged it right back down. Yes, there's a lot of names to keep an eye on, definitely. A lot of names to keep an eye on. There's some action out there to play around with, you know, and I don't want to say play around with like it's awful. You know, they've been acting well. Like I said, there were a couple decent winners out of some of these small cap names that have been catching flow. There's other stuff for trades. You know, yeah, Spot. You could have traded Spot yesterday off that move. Look at that reversal yesterday. Spot was down and ended up running into the close. You know, similar to the Google you guys caught. Now, biotechs, I'm not seeing much of anything in biotechs either. You know, some small ones here and there. Right? That VKTX caught another little sweep. Yeah, SRPT. You know, SRPT's been catching action since I had diapers on. SRPT looks great. Look at this thing. You bought some SRPT? Honestly, I can't blame you. I can't blame you. It seems like every time there's your options are down. Oh, maybe just IV and all. That's weird. They bought it here, right? On that. Oh, yeah, with the spread and all, probably, MJ. But I'm saying I don't blame you because every time we've seen action in SRPT, look what the hell's gone on. You know? The last time we saw action was before this gap up. Look at this. So they seem to know what they're doing in that name. Yeah, maybe you finally went in and you're going to put the kibosh on it. What happened? Somebody mentioned something with this VKTX. What'd you guys say about this VKTX? You guys know this thing? This thing caught action back here. They got some approval or something, And it just caught action the other day. Small sweep, though. Small. You know, small sweep. Oh, somebody else's drug approval? Interesting. All right, but that's it. I mean, the main thing, and like I said, MJ, we were talking about this today. The main thing you want to do is you want to look ahead. Because of the lack of action, you don't want to look back at names that caught action and it got hammered or stuff like that. You don't want to do that. It keeps you, because that's how the flow keeps you disciplined. You know, that's how it keeps you in check. You know, I always tell you guys, when I'm in cash or when I'm light, there's one of two reasons. One, sentiment got too hot. I always like to size down dramatically. Or two, there's not enough buying for me to get excited or to get aggressive. And that keeps me in check. You know, I got the confidence that if this market, if there's going to be a rally like that's going to create FOMO for me, sweepers are going to be a part of that in a big way. That's my frame of mind, you know? It's not like this market's going to rally to new highs and sweepers are going to say, you know what? I'm taking a vacation. They're on top of everything. You know, any rumor, any news, they're on top of everything. So if this market is going to heat up, damn well sure that sweepers are going to be a big part of that. So that's why I don't, you know, if I'm not seeing activity, you know, I sit tight, I play nice and easy, I day trade, and you know, it keeps me in check. Otherwise, like the degenerate I am, I'm like a loose cannon out there, right? I'll be buying everything. Anything that catches a little sweeper activity or call buyer, oh, there's no sweepers, I'm going to buy this one that caught a big block. You know, I'll start creating shit out of my rear end. I'm being honest. That's me. You know, so I finally found something in my career that keeps me sitting down when I should be sitting down, not excited when there's nothing to get excited about. They'll come back. Trust me. They always do. Exactly. The Rodney Dangerfield. Give me two of these, three. Oh, I love Rodney Dangerfield. Yep. He's the best. That's a great scene, too. All right, guys. Any questions before we wrap it up? You guys could go sip your pina coladas and take the sun. Everybody good? My friend says she tried to log in the webinar and said it's full. Really? I didn't think we'd fill up today, but it's possible. It's possible. All right. Yeah, banks. Francis, the banks are the banks. Here's what we saw, okay? And obviously didn't look too hot today. Bank of America yesterday caught weekly activity for this week. There's a couple of days in the week. They're already behind the 8 ball. All right. So that was it, weeklies. Here's the banks. Anybody who's been tuning into the webinar, if you're dying to buy a bank, okay, if you're dying to buy a big bank, the big ones I'm talking about, if you have to buy a financial, I'll tell you right now, these things are seeing the best action, best price action. The flow is ridiculous. These KKR, this one's been lagging a bit. Saw buying again today, BX. Okay, so if you have to buy a financial, this is the space that the real money's going into. Okay, the rest of the stuff is all spec crap activity, doing the same thing that a lot of you guys are trying to do, trying to pick a bottom and get lucky. Yeah, that's what they're doing in weeklies, you know, sometimes 2 weeks out. This KKR, okay, yeah, like for example, I told you Bank of America caught some weekly action, right? Weeklies. You heard what I said about weekly flow. Okay, no real player is making a big bet on a name in weeklies. Doesn't make sense, right? If I'm a big fund or big syndicate out there and I want to make a bet on Bank of America bottoming, Am I going to buy weeklies? No. Okay. I'm going to go out in time and I'm going to bomb the living daylights out of it. That's how these guys play. All right. So the difference is Bank of America catching weekly activity, and this KKR, they are annihilating in Jan and Jan 2020 leaps, both Jans. They've been buying the daylights out of it. The whole top, go look at KKR, the top open interest positions. It's all these guys buying over the past couple of months. All right. So that's the difference. Again, you can trade Bank of America. You know, Bank of America, okay, it's down 50 cents. There's a sweeper. You know what? I'm going to buy some Bank of America. Maybe it snaps back in a couple of days. That's a trade. But if you're trying to pick a bottom there, you're doing it on your own. All right? And if you got to pick a major bank, the one with the best flow, in my opinion, some real flow, at least further out in time, is Wells Fargo, believe it or not. You know, but think about it, guys. Look at, especially you guys who are in the room, look at when they buy blood and look at the real action that comes in. Okay? Campbell's Soup, what were they buying when they were trying to nail a bottom? What were they buying? They were buying Novembers. And they kept coming back for more Novembers. The stock sold off more. What did they buy? Novembers. And then as the stock started bottoming out, moving higher, then we started to see July, August, all the spec action come around it. You know what I mean? That's the difference. They're not going to come in Campbell Soup and try to nail a bottom and only go a couple weeks out. You know, these guys can't take a serious position like that. When they want to buy blood and try to nail out a bottom, they need the time because they're going to play in size. So that's the difference. That's the major difference when you see it in flow. That's all. You know, if you see a stock weak and they're buying weeklies, they're trading. Those guys are trading. And it's, again, I want to repeat, it's okay to trade, but you gotta treat it accordingly. You can't be like, oh man, this Bank of America, I bought 5 times down here and I lost every time. What the hell are you doing? Why are you doing that for? You know, why would you do that? Why would you lose all your money in spec action instead of waiting for some real stuff? You know, you want to take a shot? Take a shot. But don't continuously try to pick a bottom in Bank of America or flow because they're not doing it. They're not doing it. You know, there's flow, but there's not real action there. You know, they're trading. They're doing the same thing you guys are trying to do. The difference is, to them, it's peanuts. You know, to them, it's peanuts. But the same way, like I was talking with the other names, me personally, I can't do it. But if I was to play a Bank of America for a trade, I would wait for a day like today. I didn't see any Bank of America float today. Did we? No. But I would wait for a day like today. And then if there was a half decent sweep into the blood, I would look for that snapback trade. And that's it. You know, I wouldn't be trying to pick a bottom with 2 days left in the week. Nevertheless, you know, they're rolling the dice. All right, but that's the financials as a whole. Again, the big financials. You got other things out there that look completely different in some of the financials. So, all right, anybody else? Or we're good to go? All right, just again, the thing to take away from today, patience, relax, find something in this game. Okay, a lot of times it's got to be trading. You know, some people say walk away. I don't want to walk away because I like to look at the flow and the price action every day. It helps me get a feel for things. Okay, but you got to figure out something in this game to keep you disciplined and to keep you in check when you need to be in check. You can't fire cannons constantly. we talk about that. You can't be the same type of buyer in every market. So right now, sit tight, trade nice and easy, find something to keep you busy, and we're waiting for missiles. All right? Guys, happy holiday. Enjoy the 4th. Be safe. Be careful out there. All right? You got a lot of drunks out there. I see them already out here. They're hitting the bars at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, intoxicated all over the yard. All right? Be careful out there, bastards. And I'll see you guys when we get back. Thanks for coming by, guys.